an interesting question about accountability. I will answer it, but first, I think that at the heart of the problem, though, is not actually the issue of accountability, but that economists have a major influence over a wide range of policy issues in a way that has never been the case before. So the homogeneity of people that are involved in policy making and that economists now prevail has no doubt had a huge influence on the nature of many policy decisions that have been taken in recent decades. I think technocracy has sucked the politics and I think the public debate out of many public decisions, many political decisions. And so in some ways, it's no wonder that there's now a populist revolt and many people feel like their voice doesn't count in public decisions taken that affect their lives because they don't count, their voices don't count. There's a really good and important study that Martin Gillens and Benjamin Page published in the American context a few years ago, which showed that economic elites and organized business groups have a substantial impact on government policy, while average citizens and broader mass-based interest groups have none. And I would not be surprised if these findings were actually replicated in other countries as well. And it's shocking and it's an important thing to keep in mind, but we also need to remember that it hasn't always been this way. For instance, if we think about the New Deal, there was a huge diversity of people involved in crafting it. So most people were not economic PhDs. Many, if not most of them, didn't even have a university degree. I think it's in Michael Sandel's book, The Tyranny of Merit, where he really goes into some depth of describing this. But could we even imagine that today? So personally, I think it needs to change. And it's not just less economists, but I think less elites of all kinds that should be dominating policy decisions. If we go back to what we were discussing at the start about economic decisions ultimately being about values, and so also about morals and ethics, and what kind of society we want, then these are political questions, and they also need broad public deliberation. And it's why everyday people need to be involved much more directly in shaping and influencing economic policies. Just to clarify, though, it doesn't mean that there's no role for economic experts if we think about a shift to putting citizens more at the heart of this. It just, their role changes. If we let everyday people be in the driver's seat and let them be the judges of the evidence that economists present to them in light of how that stacks up vis-a-vis their own personal everyday lived experiences, then I think we see where the discrepancies come up between some of the theories and the modeling and then people's lived experiences of the economy. And I guess my own work on deliberative democracy has shown that everyday people are more than capable and competent of understanding complex issues like economic issues. They're able to reason with the public good in mind. They're able to come up with concrete, very complex policy proposals. It's just about creating the conditions that bring together this diversity of people, that gives them the time and the resources to be able to access all this evidence, to look at it from different angles, to ask questions of experts, to have the time to deliberate together and work towards shared recommendations. So at the OECD, I've looked into over 400 or so of these sorts of examples of deliberative processes. And I'm really convinced that we would have different economic policy decisions if everyday people were more intimately involved in their creation.